Hello, welcome. It is currently Saturday, July 26th, 2025 at 12:45 p.m. Recording in St. Louis, Missouri, I'm Aaron Wills. This is a random rambling video. Along with welcoming you to my channel, allow me to thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe before sharing this video and turning on the post notification bell. That would all be very much appreciated. Ow, my arm itches. I don't know if you can see it, but I got a rash or something going on there. Much of that redness came from me just scratching it up against my wheelchair. I can't show you exactly where it is. Maybe you can see it right in there somewhere. Anyway, my arm itches. I see a big red blotchy spot. It didn't show up in the camera, I don't think. A little bit of redness did, but that's just where I was scratching on my wheelchair. Ow. It doesn't feel so good to scratch and itch. It sucks having an itch, but the scratch, it feels so good. Now I'm scratching it on the edge of my computer table. I would like to call it a computer desk, but it's not. It's just a bedside table in the nursing home I live in here. Since we're early in the video, I will start with the explanation of why I live in a nursing home and what this is and what this is. These two skull protrusions. I'll start the whole story since I'm only 2 minutes into the video. It'll probably take about 10 minutes to tell, so I'll start now. On February 12th, 2008, I suffered what is called a TIA, which stands for Trans-Ischemic Attack. It's like a mini stroke. I suffered a mini stroke on the 12th day of February in 2008, which sent me to found me in the emergency room at St. John's Mercy Hospital in Creve Coeur, Missouri. Now simply St. Louis Mercy. Now simply Mercy St. Louis Hospital, and still in Creve Coeur, Missouri. The name changed, the location has not. There's also a Mercy South in not in South St. Louis, but in South County, St. Louis. Ow. What the hell's going on here? Why is my arm itching so badly? I don't know. But anyway, so I was sent to the hospital with a TIA, a trans-ischemic attack, a mini stroke, if you will. And whilst in the hospital, they did a number of tests, as they are wont to do in hospitals. And during one of these tests, they discovered what they were first calling a mass, and then started calling it a tumor in my heart. And they decided if it was a clump of blood clots making up the mass, that it needed to come out, so that if one were to break free, it could kill me. It could go to my brain and kill me. So they cut my heart open, and to take the mass of what I guess was blood clots, I don't know what it was, to take the mass, what they are now calling a tumor, out of my heart. And while they were in there, they did a double bypass surgery. They saw a couple arteries, I guess, that needed to be bypassed due to cloggedness and other ramifications of smoking and eating horribly for my whole life. Well, no, I didn't smoke my whole life. I was 33 when I had my heart surgery, and I had started smoking when I was 19. I ate horribly pretty much my whole life. Ding! I don't know what that is. I haven't discovered what notification that is on my phone. It goes ding. Sounds like a Taco Bell ring. I haven't discovered what that notification is yet. But every time I check when it makes that noise, I check my text messages, and it's not a text message notification. So I gotta figure out what it does. What'd you say? It's 12:50 p.m. And my roommate asked me what time it is again. Before this video is over, he'll ask again. I promise. Well, I guess I can't promise, but I feel confident that will happen. So, there I am in the hospital. They just cut into my heart, took out what they were calling a tumor, and sewed my heart back up, stapled my chest back together, I guess. I don't know how they connected to my sternum. Because they go into your heart, they gotta crack your sternum open. And so they got my sternum back closed, my heart sewed up, and sitting on my way to the heart hospital to recover. And when I was in the heart hospital, I didn't realize that my friend, whom I knew was a nurse, Laura is her name, was the head nurse on in the heart hospital, in the step-down unit of the heart hospital. So as I was I'm sorry for stuttering. So as I was recovering from this heart surgery, I heard the voice of my friend Laura, whom I always called Nurse Laura. So I was like, Nurse Laura, is that you? Don't come over here, I'm making a video. Alright.
Do you want me in it?
Huh? What? Well, no, if you want to be in it, come on over, but I didn't want you to not want to be in it. I thought you already got mine. I already got mine. Oh, okay, I'll get him when I come out. Alright. I just talk. Yep. Wills. Yep. WILLS. Yes, ma'am. And go ahead. And subscribe when you do. Pretty please. Yeah, I hope it is. Yeah, I hope I am. So I'm recovering from my heart surgery. I hear the voice of my friend Laura, and I'm like, Nurse Laura, is that you? And she's like, yes, Dago. That's why everybody at the pool hall called me Dago, because I'm a Dago. The nickname came from me. I told myself, I was running to the ball playing pool. I cut the nuts off the ball, sliced the ball into the corner pocket. Like I said, damn, that fat Dago can shoot. And so my now great friend Jason started calling me Fat Dago after that. And so that caught on, and everybody was calling me Fat Dago for a while. And then I guess a few people worried about me getting mad about being called Fat Dago, cut off the fat part, and they just started calling me Dago. So everybody at the nursing home, everybody at the pool hall called me Dago for my entire stay, or my entire hangout period and working period. I worked there too. For my entire time at the pool hall, I was called Dago. And a lot of people only knew me as Dago. They didn't realize my real name was Aaron. Which it is, by the way. Aaron Wills, that is. Film pools, movie stars. So, I keep saying so. It's my best segue, I guess. I'm in the hospital. I just heard the voice of my good friend Laura. And I'm like, Nurse Laura? She's like, yes, Dago, it's me. And I heard a voice say, don't call him a Dago. And she's like, that's his name. And the girl's like, no, his name's Aaron. And she's like, I know, that's what we call him. She's like, oh, well, you shouldn't call him that. The poor guy just had heart surgery. I'm hearing all of this during recovery. And I thought it was I kind of chuckled. I thought it was funny. And I told the girl, like, I can't see any of them because I don't know. I'm just laying there with a sheet over my head. And I wasn't dead, but I still had a sheet over my head because it was more comfortable for me. I remember it being very cold. I wanted to cover up my head to try to warm up. And so I told the girl that it was okay, and she called me Dago. Since that was my nickname. I told the girl, I said, that's my nickname. Everybody calls me Dago. And she said, okay, well, I thought she was calling a sick man Dago. A fat Dago. No, she didn't call me Fat Dago for sure. Just Dago. While recovering in my room from that heart surgery, a blood clot broke free from my heart, something they were afraid would happen, and traveled to the right parietal lobe of my brain. Right over here. The right parietal lobe of my brain. Right in here. It traveled to the right parietal lobe of my brain and got stuck in there nice and neat. And whilst it was in there, an extreme amount of pressure was building, about to create a cerebral herniation, they call it, where one side of my brain was going to pop through the other side of my brain. So they had to do an emergency craniotomy, it's called. They cut me down here, down the middle of my head, and down around here. They cut all this open and took my skull off for a while. For a few weeks, I went off to MRC in Mount Vernon, Missouri. The Missouri Rehab Center, it stands for. Some coffee, some water. Some cool water. Okay. Back to it. So they cut me down here, and down around here, there was that's called a craniotomy. That was an emergency craniotomy. The doctor was called in off, the neurosurgeon was called in off vacation. He came because there was an emergency. He came in, checked the MRI and CAT scan of me, and said, is this patient still alive? And they said, yes. And so he grabbed the waiver and rushed into my room to ask my grandma to sign the waiver so that they could do the emergency craniotomy. She said, well, and he's like, well, he came in and said, we need you to sign this waiver. And he didn't explain that they needed to take a portion of my skull off. My grandma figured, well, he's probably going to need that. So she prayed on it until he told her, and she prayed on it, wanting to know what the right answer was. She didn't want him to be some quack that was all hopped up on being a superhero or something. And so she prayed, and then but on top of that, of her prayers, he kind of made it easy for her, because he told her, I can't guarantee doing this will save your grandson's life, but I can guarantee not doing it, that he will die if we don't do it. And so my grandma signed the waiver. They got to work on me. They cut off my skull, and then I went off to MRC for a few weeks, or several weeks, and then they kept my skull in a freezer somewhere at St. John's Mercy Hospital in St. Louis, in Creve Coeur, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. Tracer up? Okay, cool. And then they sent me back to St. Louis. Well, you're on video now. I'm trying to make a video. Alright. You're a goofball. But you're gonna get me in trouble if you don't want to upload. Can I upload this still?
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Alright, so. Huh? So that's my roommate, Kenny. Super Kenny. Kenny did a bad thing today. And I won't tell you what it is in case his mom's watching. But he's going to call his mom and tell his mom what he did. The other day he did the same thing. I had to call his mom over it. And he hasn't learned his lesson, apparently. So I promised him I wouldn't call his mom today. So I convinced him to call his mom himself. because he wasn't supposed to do what he did, and his mom's gonna be angry with him. But it's better that he called than if I call, because she'll really be angry with him. So to finish my story, I went back to St. Louis from MRC in Mount Vernon, Missouri, and they got that skull of mine out of the freezer and put it back on.